there, all my clawsome possum fur babes. Thanks so much for coming to hang out with us today. We're gonna have so much fun. Sorry it's been a little while. I know haven't made videos for maybe a month or so, so it's been a little bit since I posted. But I've got a special visitor with us here today. Look, it's Ludwig. Say hello, everybody. Say hello, Ludwig. So if you follow me on social media, you would know that this little guy here, he's not doing very well. He's a senior citizen now. He's over 8 years old, which is pretty good for a male ferret. He has developed heart disease, so we have to give him medicine just to help with his condition. So he takes a syringe full of medicine 3 times a day, and then we also give him a tablet every morning, which just helps keep the fluid, because he gets excess fluid buildup in his body around his heart and around his lungs, which is not good. So it just helps to flush the extra fluid out of his system later, dude. But yeah, generally once ferrets are diagnosed with a heart disease, they can live up to like 7-8 months generally on average, and this little guy, he's going on 9 months, so he's done very well. And we feed him 100% raw, so he doesn't have any like kibble or anything like that. He's on a completely raw diet, little guy. And yeah, we've just been like hanging out in the sun. We sit outside on the porch and likes to walk around in the grass and stuff. Yeah, just trying to make him as comfortable as possible, because we don't know how long we've got left with him, and just want to enjoy that time that we do have. But yeah, we did end up getting a little buddy for Ludwig, just so he wasn't lonely while we are away, like at work and stuff. So we have a new ferret. His name's Klaus. So he's a brown and white sable ferret. So I'll introduce him to you guys towards the end of the video. But yeah, I wanted to try, because I feel like I've done so many different tutorials where I do like my makeup or do my hair on camera, so I wanted to sort of try a different style and see. What are you doing, little guy? He just had his dinner, so he is very content. Aren't you, pumpkin? But yeah, I wanted to do more so like almost like story time videos, or like different challenges and things like that, which I thought were like interesting. So today what I wanted to talk about was different slang words that I noticed when I moved to Australia. So I'm originally from Ohio, and when I first moved here, there were like a lot of words that I had no freaking idea what they even meant. I was like, holy moly. What is that? I felt like when I first came over here, I actually had a really hard time understanding people's accents, and my partner Carl, he was like saying how like almost like socially awkward I was and like didn't talk and stuff, and I was like, yeah, because I don't understand what anyone's saying. And he like you know, didn't understand that. But you know what was funny? A few years ago when we went to America for the first time, the tables were turned, because he went to Ohio and I'm out from like the country, and we have lots of like country folk with their very strong, thick, middle, what would you say, like Midwestern accents. And he was like, they couldn't understand what I was saying, and he couldn't understand what they were saying. So I was like, now you get it. What are you doing? I'm gonna hold him like a baby. Huh? Do you like that? Ludwig. The shirt that I've got on at the moment, this was one that I had printed when I was on holiday in the Gold Coast. So it says, it's got Paris printed on there, so you could actually pick the design that you wanted printed out of a few different designs that they had up on their wall. And it says, stop being poor. Can't relate, but hey. Ludwig. Do you want to say hi, Ludwig, Daddy? You say hello, you little baby. Look at your fish. Look at him. Look at him. Little guy. He's like, Mom, I just want to sleep. Leave me alone. Huh? Little pumpkin. He's such a good boy. So what I've done, I've been collecting over the past few months different words as I think of them that you wouldn't hear, like people don't use in America. So yeah, I'm gonna share those with you just because I thought you might find it as interesting, or you might not have heard some of these words before, or you just might be like, oh hey, that's kind of weird. So one that was really funny, so I actually have these little wipes which I use to clean my glasses, and the packaging on the little wipes, like when you rip it open, it has a picture of like Where's Waldo. Like I guess it's because, oh, you clean your glasses, now you can do the Where's Waldo because you can see. And do you know what Carl said to me? He's like, what that's called? Where's Wally? So Australians call Where's Waldo Where's Wally. Seriously, you know the guy with the, I'll put a picture of him on the screen somewhere, with the red and white striped red and white striped outfit? That's the one, in the funky like thick rimmed emo kid glasses. Another one that I thought was like interesting, like when Aussies say, they're like, oh, he's cracking on to her, or crack on. It's like, I guess it can mean like, oh, they get along, or like, oh, he's coming on to her, like, you know, maybe he's like interested. But yeah, it's called to crack on, or like cracking on. And I'm like, what the heck does that even mean? Because that's definitely not something that we say back where I'm from. Another one that I thought was funny, the chemist. It actually is a pharmacy. So where you get like, you know, like Rite Aid, or like Walgreens, CVS in America. Over here in Australia, we've got one, it's called Chemist Warehouse or Priceline. Because yeah, we don't have CVS here, we don't have Walmart here. There's Kmart and Target in Australia, but no Walmart. Crazy. But yeah, Pedialyte in America is what it's called, but over here they call it Hydrolyte. Another thing, the sidewalk over here, they call it a footpath. A footpath. Like, oh, why's that guy riding his bicycle down the footpath? Or like, oh, like, there's someone in my way, like on the footpath, like on the sidewalk. Crazy. And then, what do I have next? Oh, like a person with red hair. You know how like sometimes we'll call them like ginger, or say that they're a ginger? They call them, in Australia, they call gingers rangas. Like an orangutan, I'm assuming, because they have the like red ginger fur. What do you think about that, Ludwig? Do you like orangutans? Huh? He's like, I don't know, I've never met one. And then, so in Australia, when they say like someone's pissed, or like to get pissed means you're like drinking and getting like really like drunk, or like another term like people might say like in America, I know, shit faced or like wasted, but over here in Australia they'll be like, oh, that person's, oh, they're pissed, like, you know, they still say like pissed off and like angry, like, you know, when you're angry, but like they also use it to mean drunk. So I get really confused like when they like, oh, that they're so pissed, they're wasted, like, you know. So funny. And then I've got a couple food ones. So French fries, or like fries, they call them chips, which I think most people would know that. In like, I guess, England and Australia, they're called chips. And I was talking to a couple of my American friends, and they're like, well, what do they actually call like potato chips, like that, you know, you get in the bag, like Lay's potato chips? I was like, well, one, they don't sell Lay's potato chips over here. They sell a brand called Smith's, which is different. And then like the bougie like potato chips, which I guess are sort of like your kettle chips. There's kettle chips in Australia, but I don't believe they're owned by the same company. And there's also a brand called Red Rock Deli. But yeah, we don't have that in America. And we also don't have shapes, which are delicious. Barbecue shapes in Australia, they are vegan and they are great. God tier, chef's kiss, delish, I love them. They're like little crackers. Oh yeah, Australians, they call crackers crisp bread. Crisps, like crisp bread. And I only knew that because I worked at a grocery store for a while. Oh, Australians call grocery stores supermarkets. So they'll be like, I'm going to get my groceries from the supermarket. They don't say like, oh, I'm going to the grocery store. So crazy. But yeah, I learned a lot of food ones just from working at the supermarket. Another food one, in Australia they'll say biscuit and not actually mean like a biscuit. I feel like they call actual biscuits like a scone or a scone, but it looks like a biscuit that you would eat with like mashed potatoes and gravy, or like, you know, savory. But generally over here they'll have biscuits with like tea and sugar, cookies and sweet stuff in the morning. But Australians don't actually say the word cookie. They call cookies, like an Oreo cookie or like, you know, like a cookie, they call them biscuits. And then oh, more food. Or cantaloupe, like the orange melon, they call it a rock melon. Arugula, like the salad, they call that rocket in Australia. And then in America, what we would call cilantro, like, you know, in a lot of like, you know, Mexican cooking, Spanish cooking, you know, like Australians call cilantro coriander. Something else I noticed, like when I was working retail, you know how you would hand like the people check out as a cashier, and you give them their money and you're like, oh, thank you. And then instead of saying, oh, you're welcome, in America people will say, oh, you're welcome. Over here they just say ta. And first I thought it was really like bitchy and rude, but they're just like ta. And I'm like, ta, like ta-ta? Like I always think of Tigger from Winnie the Pooh, like TTFN, ta-ta for now. But yeah, like if I'm talking to someone, instead of saying, oh, bye, see you later, ta, it's usually like maybe like bougie 30-year-old, 40, 50-year-old Karens, maybe? Karens, I've noticed. But yeah, No one over here says you're welcome, like, at all. Maui would be disappointed. Huh, Ludwig? You're welcome. Do you like Moana, Ludwig? You can cry. And yeah, oh, another thing I thought was really, really rude when I came over to Australia, people would say, good on you. And I'd be like, oh. Because, like, if you say that to someone in America, like, good for you, good on, no one would ever say good on you. They would say, good for you, like in a mean way. Like, oh, you're special, you know what I mean? Like, oh, good for you, like, being, like, sort of, like, bitchy. But over here, when, like, they say good on you, I guess they can mean it, like, in a bitchy way. But most of the time when they say it, they mean it really, like, genuinely and nice. Because, like, my husband's mom, she would say good on you all the time. And I was like, oh, what did I do wrong? Like, you know what I mean? But she, like, actually meant it. Like, you know, not in, like, a mean way. In America, I notice people will say, oh, I think you should do this. I think so. I don't think so. Over here in Australia, a lot of the time, people will say, if you ask them, be like, oh, should I go to the store or should I go buy some makeup? And if they're asking someone, and the person will reply, instead of saying, oh, yeah, I think you should, or yeah, I think so, they'll say, oh, yeah, I reckon, or they'll say, oh, no, I don't reckon. But they say that a lot, like, I reckon, like, in place of, like, I think, which is, like, just different terminology. Oh gosh, what I wrote down. It's not the way they say, like, water, but the way they pronounce the word water. It sounds more like wuta, wuda, wuda. Like, the ER, like the is not, non-existent. And I just think that's really, like, funny, because a lot of my Australian friends here, they're like, say water, or, like, if I'll just be like, hey, can I go get a drink of water? I'll be right back. They're like, they think it's so cute the way I say it. I don't know if I said this one already. I think it's really ironic because I guess in America, when they're trying to, like, put on a fake Australian, or when Americans are trying to fake an Australian accent, the first thing they say, I'll throw the shrimp on the barbie. They don't even say shrimp over here. They actually call shrimp a prawn. 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 And, like, when you go to, like, Chinese restaurants and stuff, how they'll give you, like, rice crackers or, like, shrimp crackers. Prawn crackers. Crazy, right? I've got a few different ones for, like, clothes. So in Australia, sweatshirts or hoodies, they're called jumpers. Sweatpants, Australians call them, like, trackies. I guess, like, a tracksuit, I don't know. And then, like, back home in Ohio anyway, like, we could say your sneakers, your tennis shoes. Over here in Australia, they'll say runners. And then another one I learned, flip-flops. They call them tongs, or, like, thongs, I guess, depending where they're from, like, how they would pronounce it. And I was like, so what is, like, an actual thong that, like, goes on your, like, butt? Like, a G-string. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Another one that is really, really funny. So, okay, I'll tell you how I learned this. When I first come to Australia, so they don't have what they call, like, a president over here. They actually call him or her a prime minister. So your president is known as, like, a prime minister. So essentially they have the same role in government, but they're just known as prime minister. And the guy who was prime minister, I saw an article, like, in a newspaper about him, because when he would go on the beach, he would always wear, like, Speedos. That's what we would call them. Like, you know, teeny tiny little, like, swimming trunks. In Australia, first I would tell you what a budgie is. because they call Speedos budgie smugglers. A budgie is a parakeet. So do the math. Like, what do you think, like, when a man is wearing a tight, teeny tiny little like Speedo, what does it look like is shoved down there? It looks like a parakeet's a parakeet. So silly. Wild. Another one that's pretty goofy, so in America we would say fanny pack. Over here they call them a bum bag, because apparently your fanny is like your vajayjay. And then, oh, me and Carl were just talking about this one the other day. The, like, say we go to like the country fair or the state fair, the Ohio State Fair, the Muskingum County Fair, where there's like rides, fair food. Over here they'll call it a show. So like the Melbourne show, the showgrounds, instead of saying the fairgrounds, which is really different. When you break your arm and you go to the hospital and it gets put in that white thing, or break a leg, do you know what they call that, Ludwig? Well, in Ohio we would say that's a cast, but over here the Aussies, they're crazy. They call it plaster. So plaster means cast, like when you break your arm or something. You're going to sleep again, little pumpkin. And the last one that I have here, I feel like there's so many more that I would have left out, but this was another one. Like when I first moved over here and Carl was like, oh, just gonna go up to the lounge room, because our old apartment had stairs, so our living room, where like the couch and the TV and stuff is, so it was actually upstairs, and then our bedrooms and bathrooms, they were downstairs. But he would say, oh, the lounge room. So Australians call a living room a lounge room. Isn't that right, Ludwig? Oh. Yeah, I don't know if that was interesting or curious, because I found it really different. Like when I first moved here, I was like, oh my gosh, what do all these words mean? But yeah, just thought I would share. I'm gonna go get Klaus. I really want you guys to meet him, okay? We'll be back. Here's Klaus. Say hi. This is Ludwig's new little buddy. At first, they really needed to be very well introduced to one another, because they really did not want to be friends. Sometimes Ludwig still tries to be dominant, and he'll bite like Klaus on the back of the neck sometimes, which I guess is how ferrets sort of like show that they're superior. But yeah, they love to cuddle and like lay next to each other, keep each other warm. Little guys. But yeah, Klaus, he's 5, and he was also a rescue, and he's been very good boy. He's really enjoyed it here. Oh, Ludwig is trying to get away. Yeah, sometimes, because Klaus gets quite energetic, so he will like to run around the house like a maniac sometimes. When he gets like a burst of energy, he'll just go, 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 go. And it freaks Ludwig out a little bit, because Ludwig, he still walks around, but not too much. He pretty much stays in one spot unless we like carry him, because he's very like mellowed out. But yeah, as long as they have their own space, they're pretty good. Just see if I can get them both in camera and to look at you guys. Babies. But yeah, I think it's good because Klaus keeps Ludwig a lot of company when we're not home. and gives them something to do. Even though he gets annoyed sometimes while you're sniffing in my hair. But yeah, sorry this is a short video, but I thought it would be nice to just come on here and let you know what was going on with the little furry friends and introduce our new little family member with ya. I actually plan to shoot another video. I was inspired just because of like the whole nostalgia of like the whole like scene queen, like 29th scene. I have a few like old like prom dresses, and I actually wanted to do like a prom story time and talk about the time that I was stood up for prom. But yeah, I've actually got another video planned where I want to do my hair and makeup like I would have if I was going to prom, like as the ultimate like scene queen that I was, because I actually got stood up for my prom, so I can tell you about my prom day and a little bit about that, which is interesting. And yeah, not cool, but yeah. Thanks so much for coming to hang out with us. See you guys next time.